we were kind of talking about how I was like, hey man, I can give you a few minutes to talk about Tua and your Miami Dolphins. And he goes, fuck that, Lamar Jackson show. So, and I quickly informed him that, Lamar's going to end up in Detroit. So,
y'all love Jared too much. Sorry, Lamar. Jared's our guy. He's got more grit. And you guys continue to be on the playoff bubble.
You want to know something? I think Lamar has good grit because he gets his team to the playoffs with nobody else.
Why people keep sleeping on him, dude? I don't know why people keep sleeping on Lamar Jackson.
I like the guy.
First of all, I still love me some Tua. We'll talk about that in a second. Lamar has never seen the likes of Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Never.
Or J-Mo.
Name his best receiver of his career.
Marquise Brown.
Best receiver he's ever had. Mark Andrews. Sorry, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
You're a tight end. You don't get paid wide receiver dollars. Probably you should get paid more. They need to up that tight end cap. Something needs to get people like Kelsey have to keep raising that ceiling, bro. Because they get shafted a little bit. There's not many of those tight ends in the league though, and that's why they don't want that position to raise. If I were an owner, if I were a GM, I'd be like, no, stop. Because
Jimmy Graham tried to get it.
No, I know. Granted, I mean, with all due respect, as good as Jimmy Graham was there in the league, he's never been a Kelsey.
No. I beg to differ. When he came up to that contract, he was most definitely a Travis Kelsey or a George Kittle or somebody like that.
Yeah, but he wasn't as consistent. I just think of that. He wasn't even the best tight end in the league asking for that money.
After he left New Orleans, that's when the fall off happened. But he didn't even re-sign that contract when he was trying to get that money. But during those years when he was in New Orleans, I mean, I don't know. You talk to John Moore, but I would have to say that he was up there in that conversation of the best quarterbacks best tight ends.
Best, yes, but he wasn't elevating that position. He wasn't even the best at the position at that time.
Because he was playing a receiver.
No, well, I guess what I'm saying is if you're going to do it, you got to be the best, and he's not the best. Kelsey is the best. No one comes close to Mark Andrews doesn't come close to Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey is transcending that position.
But I mean,
he's shattering all tight end records. Jimmy Graham never did that.
We're having the same but different arguments, right? I'm sitting there saying, making me have to remember Jimmy Graham back then. I can't even think of who the tight ends were back then either.
Rob Gronkowski. That's the only name you need to know.
But they didn't even really play him like a tight end, but he was listed as a tight end.
Right.
And he was out there making catches like a wide receiver, like Travis Kelsey was making. But Travis Kelsey actually comes in and plays more of the tight end position.
I was going to say the argument isn't off of skill; it was off of how he was being utilized by his team. So
because I mean he was more of a
that
receiver.
Is true. Yeah, no, he literally was treated like a wide receiver.
Yeah, except for couldn't get paid like him.
But I guess that's why I'm saying I don't think owners want that position to raise because New Orleans wasn't using him as a tight end. However, if the price of the tight end does start to go up, you're going to be paying guys like Dawson Knox, who may be a top 10, but not impacting the game like Stephon Diggs.
Right.
But now you're paying Dawson Knox $12 million more on top of what he... For example, I understand why owners don't want the tight end position to raise. There's not enough talent to keep it that high. So when guys like Kelsey sign a wide receiver deal, for example, now you have mediocre guys. You know what I mean? Mike Gesicki right now, let's be honest, trying to also make 18, 20 million a season. And they're like... Your production doesn't come close to what this entire group of receivers brings to sometimes. That's why I said Mark Andrews is a big exception in Baltimore.
Yeah,
but nonetheless,
I like Mark.
We're not here to talk about tight ends.
We're
here to talk about loose brains.
Yeah. I had, for those that don't know, Tua is not going to be playing this week. It was said early this past week that he would not be playing, and I started, of course, he's a Dolphin. I was curious if that would knowing that he was concussed during that game, and the venom that you came in with last week, does that change your opinion on it? And do you kind of like, okay, now I wish I would have known that, so I wouldn't have been so harsh on my opinion on it?
I don't even feel sorry or bad at all, because with new information, everyone's opinion changes. Yeah. Everyone's. No one's going to say something, find out he received a concussion, and go, doesn't matter. Like, what?
Yeah, right.
Is it a concussion? Yeah, it matters. Are you kidding me? That's like finding out your star basketball player tore his Achilles or tore his ACL and then played a quarter on it, but didn't impact the game. Yeah, that fucking matters. It completely changes someone's performance. So yes, first of all, it's just sad hearing that, because now this is 2 diagnosed concussions this season, potentially 3, depending on the Buffalo game, but not confirmed. But 2 confirmed cases of a concussion, and you're like, dude, some guys get this once every several seasons. I mean, severe ones, where you're like, you cannot play football. That, because guys get concussed and they'll be, will he play next week? And then they clear. Tua's even done that. So, that's one thing, and that's still serious. But for it to happen a second time and actually be pulled out of a week again, you're like, damn, dude, like, from previous pods that we've recorded, I'm not one to buy into, he's injury prone, stay away from him. Like, I'm just not that guy. You had high ankle sprain in college and hurt your thumb on a throw. I'm not going to say your future is now questionable because of an ankle injury and thumb injury. That's just not me. Reconstructive hip surgery, that was a huge one to overcome. Tua has proven that you can come back from that and quite literally be an elite quarterback in the NFL. Basketball players have overcome the impossible. Hockey players have done it. Baseball players have done it. All players of all sports have overcome huge surgeries, reconstructive surgeries, and competed at the highest of levels, at that elite level themselves. So I'm not going to ever say injuries will hold a player back. But now that we know more about head injuries and how they impact you years after you're done playing the game, it is concerning that he has been so susceptible to these concussions. Because did you actually see the replay of him banging his head against the, Packers? Dude, he's hitting his head fucking hard. They're not like, damn, that was kind of weak. Like when Teddy got his concussion, you probably weren't watching the game or see the replay. When he got his concussion, dude, it was off of a hit, normal football play. No, and this can happen to players. They just get bumped wrong. Boom, concussion. It's everyone's body is different, and everyone will receive trauma to the head differently. The brain will bounce around and react differently to certain hits, to different angles, different pressures. And so I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about Tua's health. Dude, that's too many concussions too quickly. Like the noodle is not, it's not as secure in his head.
It's just
as
liquid.
Another human being.
I was gonna say,
it just floats around
liquid
in there.
You know what I'm saying? So cerebellum.
So yeah, dude, there's definitely concern. And you also asked if my opinion from our Christmas pod changes, and yeah, dude, it does change. I had this little picture that I sent over to some of my Dolphin peeps, and if Tua's concussion occurred on the play that we all saw the replay on. Before that concussion, his stats were 9 for 12, 229 yards, averaging 19.1 yards per attempt on his passes with 1 touchdown, no picks. That's a super solid first half. He's on his way to almost hit 450 passing yards and a couple touchdowns with no picks. If that is when he suffered that concussion, which no one's come out and said no, so I'm assuming it is, 7 for 13, 81 yards, 6.2 yards per average, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And when you look at those side by side, and you do feed into he probably suffered it on that play right there. I mean, dude, that's a drastic difference. Now, reports have also said players, coaches, no one could tell Tua was acting different. And I believe that. He was probably saying the things he needed to say. He was probably looking at film on the tablet when he came off the sideline like he always does with the QB coach. He was probably just going about business accordingly. But you can't tell me once the football snaps and the speed of all those players hits, you can't tell me his brain wasn't affected at his response time, his ability to go through his progressions.
Right.
You know for a fact. Have you ever had a concussion?
So probably, but not anything where I was diagnosed.
So I've gone to the doctor, diagnosed concussion, like fucked. Sucks. First of all, equilibrium's gone. Your thinking ability is way delayed, dude. I could understand how in a professional game of football, if he just was cognizant, but things just weren't moving as fast. You know, it's the same as when you've been drinking. You know, like shit starts to slowly start to slip away. Maybe your speech starts to slur. Maybe your reaction time isn't there. You start knocking stuff over because of your spatial awareness. Yeah. You don't really see it happening. You know, it's a low key progression. And dude, as soon as he took that concussion, I guarantee over the next 2 hours that he was in that uniform in the locker room looking at just everything, I am choosing to believe he wasn't 100%. Just like I chose to believe that in Buffalo when he got hit, he probably wasn't 100%, but he still passed protocol. You know, and the NFL already came out with their investigation again, and they were like, nothing upon concussion protocol was missed. Everything was followed accordingly.
I was going to say, from what I also saw, that there was no, he didn't show any signs.
No, exactly. When he got hit, when that hit happened, that's why we can't even confirm, because there's no symptoms to go off of. He was diagnosed with a concussion 24 hours after the game ended. So, like, he probably woke up and said, yeah, dude, I had a headache, didn't sleep well, like, I'm off. And they probably ran another, protocol test on him, then discovered, oh, dude, you have a concussion. So then what happens? They go back into the game film. Anyone with the recording of the game goes back to the game film. They're watching him every play, and, oh, shit, look at this play with 2 minutes right before halftime. Bang. Yeah, it's probably where he suffered it. He hit his head really hard, dude. So, it took a lot to even figure out how it happened.
At what point do you feel that maybe the NFL or the Miami Dolphins should take some responsibility of just saying, we're not going to, like, if you're the Dolphins, we're not going to employ you anymore? And it's only because of health reasons. Mm-hmm. It's not because of the fact of the play, because as you've already pointed out, he's played phenomenally. Or the NFL just saying, I'm sorry, we can't as an organization have you play. I mean, realistic. We got to be truthful. He's had 3 within 2 months time. Even though the first one he wasn't diagnosed with, but I mean, at what point are we just going to be like, yeah, at least you can't play this year? A guy I worked with sat there and said, he's coming up with an idea, right? He's just spitballing. And it's not a bad spitball, but I was able to poke holes in it really quick, right? And that's where it becomes like, okay, how do you build something? He's like, you get a concussion, you're guaranteed out the following week. Mm-hmm. You get your second concussion in 1 year, you're out for like 4 weeks. Third, you're done for the season. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a, hey, we're just trying to protect you. It's not a punishment. But then, of course, I went into, how does pay work?
Right.
Because, like, are you going to dock him because you're not letting him play?
Right.
Or are you just going to eat that money and just say, we're doing this because this is just it? And I think realistically, you have to just continue to pay him normal pay.
Yeah.
And
if it's a protocol like
that's what I'm saying.
I would agree
maybe the
with
NFL
you.
should adopt something like that to help protect these guys, because we've spoken about these guys being competitors, right? And yeah, he's gonna want to get back out there as quick as possible. He wants to, especially this year when you have a team that is very well good enough to make a very deep run in the playoffs. And of course, he's gonna want to be a part of that, because he's essentially the driving force of it.
Yeah.
I mean, your quarterback. And I'm just wondering, like, do you feel that something like that would be more of a feasible option to have in? That's crazy.
Last week. Yeah, no, that's actually super smart. I never really thought about that.
Well, we haven't had to, because we haven't had a quarterback that's been, like, this continuously concussed.
I mean, yeah, that's a tough one to go off of right off the rip because immediately in my head I'm like, there's so many conversations.
Well, that's what I said. I was just like, man, you poke holes into it.
You almost can't sit there and just chop it up for 5 minutes and be like, yeah, that would be perfect. Like, dude, there's so much
legalities that have to go into it.
You immediately start talking about pay and contracts and how do your pay incentives work and how does that affect the organization? Is it considered IR? Can you pull a guy up? Are they non-active now? There's a lot of things that would go into that.
Can I cut this person without any legal backlash because now you're going to break a contract because let's say it happens on a 4-year deal, but it happens in year 2 and you're like, I don't want to take a chance on this. Yeah. I can cut this money, save this money from spending. So, I mean, it's a lot.
Yep. So, yeah, I wouldn't have an answer. I would say that if the NFL went that direction, they just chose to go in the direction of we're implementing this, doesn't matter how severe your concussion is, this is the rule, then I would just say it's one of those, okay, we live with this and this is how we move forward in the NFL. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at the end of the day, who can argue when, it's for your safety? Sure, there may be loopholes, there may be legitimate things players bring to light where it's like, because of this protocol, XYZ is the repercussion. It negatively affects us.
Well, it's going to be marketing. It's going to be all that shit.
It's going to be a lot of that stuff. And so, I mean, ticket sales.
Yeah. But that hurts the organization.
The one thing I was going to say the owners want to make sure continue to always flow well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know what that looks like, but I will never at least look at rules that are there to help players with their health.
Yeah.
However, you did ask, like, when do you have that conversation and all that? I definitely think that Marino and Stephen Ross and Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, I feel like a lot of these conversations are happening currently. I think it'd be unrealistic to talk to Tua about it post-season. I don't think it's a conversation that needs to happen with the player right now.
Right.
Just doesn't matter. Right now, you still go with team doctors. You go with your, your non-organization doctors, and you just have to follow the medical. I mean,
at this point, Tua should be investing every penny into making sure no route. I mean, like his brain's going to be good for his future. He's 24?
Yeah. So. I mean, yeah. As far as right now, yeah, I think he's like 25. Nonetheless,
young
right
as shit,
in there. To answer your question,
he's got a whole life ahead of him.
Yeah, and I agree. I just also don't think he's had 2 concussions, dude. You got to retire. I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
because I'm still a believer that we have medical professionals in place that they're doing their absolute best to ensure players don't get hurt. With every situation where Tua gets rattled like this again and gets pulled out and is being used as the league puppet, you also have other guys suffering concussions that don't even look like concussions, but they're getting pulled away for the protocol. I see good steps all the time. It's just that when a player is healthy, SportsCenter is going to be like, look at what the referees or look at what the Panthers organization did on this. He looks perfectly fine and they pulled him off the field to test him. Great job. We don't hear those stories. We only hear the missed ones. And to be fair, before Tua this season, how many media concussions were really in the spotlight like Tua's is with Miami. Dude, it's been which is good. It's bringing awareness. It's bettering the protocol. So by all means, I hate to say this, only positives from the league have come from Tua's unfortunate circumstance. We are bettering this league when it comes to the concussion protocol. Is it going to be perfect? No. Dude, nothing in the medical field is ever perfect 100% of the time.
Right.
How often do people go in for minor surgeries? That happen all the time. Oh, we had an issue. Shit happens. Like, I don't expect these people to be perfect. We're playing a high contact, high violence sport. No one is going to be perfect. It's just not going to happen. It is unfortunate that we can't be, but let's be realistic. And even though I mentioned that I'm still all for developing protocols to help player safety, I am still going to always say that these dudes, they are grown men. They know what they're putting themselves into. I'm not going to make this game to a point where it becomes touch. It is a like I said, high contact, high violence sport. And that's why these guys get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to entertain. It's the Roman Colosseum. They're putting their bodies and potentially lives at risk to get paid lots of money to play the sport they love and to entertain people like us. That's not to make them sound expendable, but I want to continue to further protocols and further player safety with an understanding of what's going on.
I don't disagree, but I also see the point of humanity's sake, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not,
the shield's got to protect the shield too.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're not capable of performing the job without. They're not. How do I want to say it? They're not going to put somebody in a wheelchair to go up on a crane and work on the rafters building a skyscraper.
Sure.
Because are they capable? There's a very good chance. But guess what? Those wheels roll.
Yeah.
And it's too big of a risk. And now somebody dies, and now we get sued. All these other things, right? I mean, at some point, you're not doing it because you're telling people, I don't find you physically capable of being able to do this job that I'm asking you to do.
Yep.
And
which does happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
To be fair, it does happen quite a bit.
In a kind of a nicer way of, I'm sorry, you're getting cut. We're not going to pick you up. We're not going to re-sign you.
Right.
We're not even going to offer you to a practice squad. So I don't know. I'm concerned for him as a fan of football. As a fan of seeing you be excited for your team to actually be doing well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
You're going to say relevant. It's fine.
I was trying not to be rude. And I just was kind of curious on, your thought on that because of the fact that I was curious of when do we say, sorry, kid, you can't play no more? So
I would say in the off season, there need to be some kind of coming to Jesus conversations of, we need to understand where your head's at as far as your future. Like, tell me what you want your future to look like. And we need to...
And not football related. I want to know how you as a human being want to be.
That's what I mean. And I think that's why I said it's not I'm your head coach or I'm your owner or I'm your GM or I'm your quarterback. It's you're a human. I'm a human. Like, I'm a father. I'm a husband.
Yeah.
He's a grandfather. You know what I mean? Let's talk as people.
Do you want to live like we live?
And I just want to know, what are your goals? What are your ambitions? Like, what does football mean to you? What does your family mean to you? Because we know how Tua feels about family.
Yeah.
And let's really get to, even though they know each other, but let's figure out ultimate goal here, man.
Yep.
Ultimate goal. Because as much as Tua could want this, if doctors are literally, if a family doctor came to me and was like, look, I love watching you on Sunday. I'm just letting you know, one or two more, man, it could impact your walking ability.
Yeah,
I'm just keeping it real.
That's the kind of shit I'm thinking about.
Facts, looking at case studies, facts, just letting you know what could be. Mm-hmm. And if it's one of those, if you continue, Tua's, at the end of the day, the first step is Tua.
Yes.
Tua has to find peace in either knowing when to hang it up, or if he knows, he can keep going. No one knows how he feels. Past that, then I'll be honest, it's a business decision. And Ross and Greer, not even McDaniel, really Ross and Greer sit down and they say, all right, is it not fair to say this is a slight gamble investment?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I hope the best for him. Tua is still my quarterback. I'm not turning my back on him. But I have legitimate concerns after this happening multiple times.
Yeah.
And to be fair, even though, once again, I'm not the injury guy, he's had multiple other injuries that have kept him out. He's yet to play a full season of football. He's 3 years in, and he's yet to, I don't think he has passed 12 games in a season yet.
No, because Did he get injured his first season, or was it just
All 3 seasons, homie.
really? What happened his first year?
It was like a hip or not a hip. It was like a broken thumb.
I just knew he was coming off the bench there for a while.
I can't remember. He was. Fitz started 2 years ago, but I can't remember what years he suffered what injuries. But I know he had a thumb. I know he had a knee or an ankle. Like it just little things have kept him out.
Well,
so
I wish your team best of luck as far as that goes, and I wish Tua best of luck on this because all I can think of is that those are scrambled eggs up there, and I would really like to not see that be a thing. So.
Yeah.